Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, we are going to discuss the Fiancee Visa, which is the K1, and the K3 visa, and various options and various issues. Now, there's a lot of people who think that they can go over to the foreign country, marry the person, bring them back on the plane, and everything's done hunky dory, and they should be allowed to come back into the United States right away. And it doesn't work like that. They need to be properly petitioned, and it does take time. The K1 or fiancé visa is taking, once it's filed, about 9 months, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, depending on the consulate that you happen to be processing through. But if it's done properly, then, while that time may seem like an extraordinarily long time, everything should go smoothly afterwards. If you're thinking of doing what unfortunately a lot of people do is have your fiance come over on a visitor visa and then get married, then get married right away, and then adjust status, you're going to be in for a very rude awakening because that's fraud. Okay, when you come over on a visitor visa, that's supposed to be to visit Disneyland, family, have fun, not with the intention to stay and get lawful permanent residency. In fact, I just had a client come to my office last week, and they came in. They thought it would be an easy, adjustment. They heard that if the spouse enters legally, that even if out of status, they can still adjust. So I go through my normal, questioning, and I find out that she, the wife, came in to the United States on about June, and within 10 days they got married. Okay, so the law is if you come in on a visitor visa and within 30 days you get married to a U.S. citizen, that's fraud. I mean, just plain and simple, it's fraud. If you get married within 31 to 60 days, then it's presumed to be fraud. So at least there's a rebuttable presumption that you can fight, meaning that if you decide that you come in the U.S. to visit Disneyland and then you madly fall in love and want to get married, at least you have a fighting chance if it's after 31 but before 60 days. And then if it's after 61 days, then all of these presumptions of fraud and fraud issues will generally go away. So that's obviously one way of doing it, but still, it doesn't change the fact that if you intend to come into the U.S. to marry and get residency, rather than go through the fiancé or K3 route, that there still won't be issues and allegations. Now, the fiancé petition, you need to have met your fiancé within 2 years of filing the petition. So, again, I have a lot of clients that they have developed relationships over the internet. They've Skyped 10,000 times, emailed, they've done Facebook, they've done everything the social media has to offer, but they've never physically met in person. So that's going to be a roadblock to applying for a fiancé visa because you have to meet in person in order to have it go forward. Now, given that, there is an exception. You can apply for a waiver of the personal meeting requirement if there's sufficient reason why you didn't meet them in person. Now, obviously that is not, you're busy, your work doesn't let you go, the plane fare's too expensive. None of that will work. However, if there's a legitimate religious reason, depending on what religion you are, or if there's a legitimate medical reason, let's say that you have a medical condition where you have to constantly be within contact of your doctor, or you've been advised for whatever reason not to fly. So those are reasons why the waiver might be granted. Now, in some of my questioning with the fiancé visas, what we also do is I have to ask if the U.S. citizen has any criminal history. This is one of the few places where it does matter what criminal history the U.S. citizen has, because if it involves a domestic violence or especially a sexual abuse act of a minor, then they're not, being the U.S. citizen, is not eligible to petition unless they get what's called a Walsh waiver. And a Walsh waiver is probably, without doubt, the most difficult waiver to get approved under current immigration law. So it's doable, but you can't hide past criminal history when doing a fiancé or a K3 petition. For that matter, if you're going to do a marriage petition through consulate processing or adjustment in the U.S., all of that will come out, and you may be required to do the Walsh waiver. Now, the question then comes up also, what should you do, the K1 or the K3? Well, first of all, regarding the K3, in some ways that's being phased out because they're moving faster on the I-130 portion of it, and it's sort of a race to see what gets approved first. So as long as the K3 is working, as long as it hasn't been phased out, you can go over to the foreign country where your fiancé is, and you can get married there and then submit the K3 petition. And once the K3 is filed, it's taking about 3 to 6 months. So it is quite a bit less time than if you were doing the fiancé petition. Although, if you say, well, I can go over and marry her, but it's going to take 2 or 3 months to be able to, get the time and money together to do that, well, then you've just defeated the time purpose of doing the K3 over the K1. So, if that's the case, then just do the K1 and go from there. Now, depending what country you're from, K1s are more difficult to get approved than others. So, for example, if you're in the area of Cambodia, Vietnam, those areas, they many times are denied because there's not any bona fide proof that the relationship's real, and they think the only reason the spouse is coming over is to get residency, not because they really love the person and want to get married. So with those fiancé petitions from those countries, I do submit quite a bit more proof of the bona fides. I print out all the Facebook correspondence, all the Skype correspondence, emails, love letters, all that stuff. Print up all that, get absolute proof of the physical presence requirement, and then we go from there. Now, assuming that the K1 or K3, let's talk about the K1 first. Assuming that goes well and the interview is granted, then you come into the country and you have 90 days to get married. Now, once you get married, then you have to file for the adjustment for the green card. And that does take 6 months to a year, give or take, but you're here, so it's a lot better situation than if you were, waiting a year outside. Now with the K3, you can come in and actually get married right away, get the adjustment right away. Okay, so you get married right away. Little distraction. So then we go from there. So that's the basis of the K1 and the K3. If you have more questions, you let me know. Get a consult, and I'll be happy to help you out. More on the coming videos.